Hey YouTube, this is Tom at TM Aquatics, and I hope everyone's having a great day. Today's video is on the top 5 foods that I feed my L46 Zebra Plecos. Now, I am by no means a Zebra Pleco expert, but in the short time I've been keeping these beautiful fish, I have found that they certainly have foods that they prefer over others, as well as some foods that came highly recommended from people who have kept zebras a lot longer than I have. Now, one thing is in common with all of these foods: they have a higher protein content and they do have a meaty base ingredient. That is because zebra plecos are a carnivorous pleco. Now, this topic can always be somewhat subjective because there's always going to be foods and brands that some people prefer over others. And if that's the case, go ahead and post those down below in your experience. And there might be some foods that I feed that you've tried and really didn't care much for. But anyways, again, these are my top 5, so let's get started. Alright YouTube, coming in at number 5 is the fresh mussel. I picked these up from my local grocery store from the seafood section. I just simply take one, crack it open, and drop it straight away into the tank. I usually buy about a half a pound at a time. I'll feed one the first night that I buy them. The rest I'll just put in a bag and store them in the freezer. Now, when feeding this type of food, it's very important to remove any uneaten mussel in the morning. Otherwise, this can quickly and easily foul your water. Now, when it comes to mussels, the L46 zebras do have a favorite. They do like the New Zealand green-lipped mussel. Now, if you're fortunate enough to find some of the green-lipped mussels and you have zebra plecos, definitely pick them up and give them a try. Your zebras will thank you later. But anyways, coming in at number 5, fresh mussels. Alright YouTube, and coming in at number 4 is the Hikari sinking carnivore pellets. Now, I know Hikari doesn't have necessarily the best reputation when it comes to quality fish foods in the industry, but they're actually not that bad. Now, my zebra plecos really relish these sinking carnivore tablets or pellets. They have a 47% protein content, and the first ingredients are krill meal and fish meal. They're a smaller pellet, as you can see, and they have no problem sinking, but they're a nice size for my small L46 zebras, and they really enjoy feeding on these here. So that is my number 4 food, is the Hikari sinking carnivore pellet. Alright YouTube, coming in at number 3, frozen bloodworms and frozen brine shrimp. What fish don't like bloodworms and brine shrimp? My zebras actually prefer the bloodworms, but I'm going to lump these two together. Now, the only issue I have feeding these to my L46 zebras is this. L46 zebras do prefer a little bit of water current and circulation in their tanks, and that's because they come from a pretty moderately to high flow river, the Rio Xingu, down in South America. Now, the issue that creates when feeding this type of food to your L46 zebras is if you have a canister filter or a hang-on back filter, these can easily get sucked up in the intake. So always use a pre-filter on any type of hang-on back or canister filter. If these get sucked up against that pre-filter, the L46 zebras will likely find them as they're scavenging throughout the night. But if you don't have that pre-filter on them, these are easily going to get sucked up into the filter and start fouling the water. So use these with caution, but they'll definitely love bloodworms and brine shrimp. So number 3, bloodworms and brine shrimp. Alright YouTube, coming in at number 2 is Repashy Superfood. I feed the bottom scratcher, and sometimes I'll mix in the grub pie. Now, the bottom scratcher, the primary ingredients are krill, insect, mussel, and squid. It has 45% protein and 10% fat. Sometimes I'll mix in the grub pie. Primary ingredient is insect meal. Now, a couple things to point out when using the Repashy bottom scratcher. The instructions say to mix 1 part Repashy to 2 or 3 parts of water. Okay? I have found that bottom scratcher mixes better with 2 parts water. When I use 3 parts water, it doesn't set as firm, and it stays pretty mushy in my experience. So just experiment with this, but Very, very good food. All of my plecos just love the Repashy bottom scratcher. Now, a couple of other nice things that you can do when you're mixing Repashy is you can add other things into it. I've heard some people add garlic into their Repashy. If you use like Vitachem, you can add several drops of the Vitachem with your Repashy. And if you happen to have some sick fish and you need to treat with some medications, you can also mix in some medications with your Repashy. Just make sure you know the appropriate amounts to mix in compared to how much food you're feeding and how much food the fish are taking in. But Repashy, definitely a great food. If you haven't tried it, do try it. It comes in a powdered form, and you're going to mix it with hot boiling water, so be careful handling the water. But your Zebra Plecos, along with all your other fish, are more than likely going to love Repashy. Repashy coming in at number 2. Alright YouTube, and the number 1 food that I feed my L46 zebras is Ebo Aquarius Stick. Now, a lot of you have probably never heard of Ebo Aquarius Stick, and that doesn't surprise me. I didn't hear about it or know much about it until I started really researching L46 zebras. This is a high protein, high quality food that is made in Germany. It is not readily available in the United States or easy to source, but they do have a US distributor called Gold Coast Aquatics. Gold Coast Aquatics can be chased down on Facebook, so if you're interested in finding out more about this food or buying some for yourself, look up Gold Coast Aquatics on Facebook and they'll be able to hook you up. Now, it does come in a soft pellet. The pellets are about 1.5 millimeters, but my L46 zebras absolutely devour this food. I feed the mussel formula, the seafood, which is mussel and shrimp, and the freshwater sponge. Now, this food comes highly recommended from a lot of European breeders as well as some very reputable pleco breeders in Canada. Definitely worth a try. Now, it does cost a little bit more than all of the other foods that I showed, but it is definitely worth it, especially when you consider how much zebra plecos cost. But anyways, my number 1 food, Ebo Aquarius Stick. Alright YouTube, and there you have it. Those are my top 5 foods that I feed my L46 Zebra Plecos. Now, if you have some other favorite foods that you feed your plecos, go ahead and post that in the comments down below. I want to thank everybody for watching. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please consider it. Post any comments, questions down below. Hit the like button on your way out. And as always, thanks again for watching. And until the next one, we'll catch you all later.